Hi, and welcome to Cover Brand, where we cover all things branding, marketing, and advertising to help you understand what the hell branding is and how it works to grow your business. Welcome and welcome back to Cover Brand. I am your host, Ethan Decker, and today on the show we have Lishan Huang. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Ethan.
Oh, it's lovely to be able to chat with you today. You're calling in from Providence.
I am.
I'm calling in from Colorado. Both of us seemingly have wildfire problems in our neighborhoods on this day.
Yeah, blaming Canada again.
Yes, as you should. Blare that South Park anthem while you blame them as well, right?
Exactly.
Yes. But it's not as apocalyptic here. We still have bright skies. It just smells a little bit like smoke, whereas you're saying that you can't see the sun?
Yeah, I think everything, we can barely see the sun. It kind of looks like Mars out there, or like what movie depictions of Mars look like. It's like
Brutal.
completely hazy, but reddish. Yeah.
Brutal. Beautiful and brutal at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. Well, before we get into your business and your business questions, let's talk cover songs.
Okay.
Lishan, what did you bring to the show?
The cover song I brought to the show today is Jolene, but the White Stripes version. So originally by Dolly Parton, but reinterpreted by the White Stripes.
Oh, that's good. I mean, from a first blush, I would think it would sound totally different in hard rock. How do the versions differ?
Well, I mean, I think they're just very different, right? Like the Dolly version has that guitar riff that goes, and the White Stripes version kind of takes that out completely. It's distorted guitars and drums. You know, they're a duo,
Right.
and it's very dark. You know, it's I love covers that do genre bending, that take a song that was written in one genre done to another, but also I love the gender bending as well, right? The lyrics don't change, even though it's Jolene, you know, don't take my man, but it's Jack White singing that.
True.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that too. I love it when they run with it.
Yeah.
And get into the song, even if it's a gender bender. That's
Totally.
great. Well, so the original Jolene, Dolly Parton, that's like from the 70s or 60s.
Right. Yeah. Before my time.
Yeah, before our time. And that was almost a country song. I mean, a blues.
Yeah.
Because she was country, but she would do an occasional blues. And that is, it's in a minor key. So it's already kind of a sad-ish, dark song about someone who's prettier than you and cuter than you and might steal your man. And so there's jealousy. So what would you even say that the White Stripes' genre is? Because I see them as rock and roll.
Yeah, I guess.
But what would you say this version is?
It's like hard indie rock, maybe,
Huh.
because they were a duo, so everything had to go hard, right? With just one guitarist and a drummer, and vocals, you know, and they sounded like a full band. So it was both minimalist and like hard at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got so much sound out of two instruments. It's insane. But this version, you're right. It's spooky. It's quiet. It barely has a lead guitar in it at all. They did a great job turning it into something different while also still telling that same core story of fear and bitterness and jealousy.
I feel like because of the genre format and the instrumentation, there's more room for, I guess, the darker despair and rage, where with Dolly's version, it's like, it's maybe there in the lyrics, but it's like, it's behind this veneer, right? Of the hair and the look and all of that stuff. And it is a sad song, but it's presented in this kind of, I guess, more dignified way, versus, the way that Jack White does it. It's just very raw, vocally as well.
Down. Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay, I gotta go hear that. We will also add it to the Cover Brand cover song playlist on Spotify. Now, easily one of the top 10 million playlists on Spotify. Which I'm sure they have like 300 million playlists on Spotify, and AI is now making more of them. But all that said, cue it up so you can listen to it after you listen to the show. Jolene by the White Stripes. Okay, that's fantastic. Lee Sean, good addition to the cover brand cover song list. I love it.
My pleasure. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, we will be right back after these messages, and we'll get into covering brand stuff with Lee Sean. If you've been jonesing to bring brand science to the rest of your team or your company, you are in luck. Applied Brand Science is now launching an online training program on the laws and levers of brand science so that you and your team can apply the lessons of brand science to grow your business. It's affordable, it's modular, it's online, and it's all at appliedbrandscience.com. Okay, and we're back. Lee Sean Huang, I am so excited to be talking to you. Let me give people a brief introduction to you before you launch into a little more background of the situation. You are currently the Chief Community Officer of the AIGA, the American Institute for Graphic Arts. Did I get that right?
That is correct.
Yes. AIGA is a super old association for design people. It's like the institute, the association, if you're a graphic designer and in the graphic arts in the United States. So you run the communities there. You help designers across the country. And also you are the founder, host, and producer of the Signal Award-winning AIGA Design podcast as well.
That is correct. This is true.
This is true. So you're on the shoes on the other foot now, and you get to be a guest instead of a host.
It's kind of nice to be the guest.
Good. Well, I'm excited to talk to you about your brand, the business, the company, the organization, the AIGA. I've been a fan of them for a while. I dabble in design and art and artistry and whatnot, having been in marketing and branding forever. But I want to hear what the situation is at the AIGA and what's the branding or marketing problem that you're facing.
Yeah. So here's the situation, right? As you mentioned in your introduction, AIGA is very old. We were founded at the time of the First Great War, right? So this is over 100 years ago, so way before my time.
Okay.
I started working here in 2018. Actually, at first part-time, just doing some community management stuff, and then 2020, world shut down. Asked to come in full-time, various leadership shifts, and that ended up co-executive director for a while. And then we recently restructured again. And now I'm in this chief community officer role, but I'm basically in charge of all of our programming. So it includes the podcast. We'd have a flagship conference. The last one was last year in Los Angeles. Nice. And then we also sell courses, continuing ed courses for designers, mostly to learn about business topics. And then we also have local chapters that do their own local events. So there's a ton of different things and touch points for AIGA. I think the biggest challenges we're facing are the challenges facing designers today, which is uncertain job market. Everybody's concerned about AI, whether they love it or hate it. It's either FOMO or just like it's the devil.
Is it stealing my job or is it my next Photoshop?
Right. And everything in between, right? So the very complicated relationship status there. And then as an association.
All these designers, it's complicated. That's the status.
But then in terms of AIG itself, we have this model that I think dates back, I don't know if all the way to the 19-teens, but certainly since the 1990s, it's been a membership-based organization. People pay dues to become members for the year. And what we're seeing, not just at AIGA, but across associations in the U.S. in general, except the ones where you have to be in it to practice, like if you're an architect or doctor, but there's just a decline in membership in these associations, in professional associations. People still want to do things. They still want to talk about design. And so we're navigating that business model. Fewer, I think we're down to about 5,000 members a year. We used to have about 20,000 plus a couple decades ago. But then we do have a huge following, right? So in some ways, we're a very old association, but in other ways, we are positioned to be almost like influencers or content creators in the current era, right? Like we have our social reach, our combined social reach and our email lists and stuff like that is like 1 million or so when you add up all of the email lists and the YouTube followers, plus the podcast and
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, LinkedIn, all of that sort of stuff. So we do
Right.
have reach beyond who's a paying member.
For sure.
And then the other challenge is that the events business in a post-COVID world is hard as well.
Yeah.
To just break even or even make money from a conference without charging, thousands of dollars, which I think you can in maybe ad tech or other things, but designers don't have those kind of budgets.
Right.
And so that's been a challenge of like, okay, how do we scale back but still deliver value in the event side of our business? And think about, okay, if membership isn't the key contact for AIGA or the key revenue source, what are other ways? And we have been diversifying, but it's still a work in progress.
Okay. So overall, you're saying there's been this erosion of membership from, let's say, 20,000, 20 years ago, 40 years ago?
Something, maybe 15, 20 years ago.
Okay. Yeah. So 20,000, 20 years ago to about 5,000 today. And it's funny that it's called the membership cliff, but it could just be that it's slow erosion, right?
Yeah.
And then it's just over time that coastline has been being chipped away by the forces of the ocean of tidal change in our society. It makes me think of, first of all, before we get into some of the ways to really tackle the situation at the AIGA, is this notion that people are joining everything less. There is a complete decline in all kinds of participation in social organizations and communities. And it was actually written
the whole
about
bowling alone thing, right?
I was just going to say it.
Yeah.
Bowling Alone, which people don't know it, is a book by Robert Putnam, who I believe is like a policy and sociology guy. And it was written in 2000, so 25 years ago, roughly 26 years ago. And the notion of bowling alone is, it's kind of stupid and dumb to bowl alone. But he documented the erosion of participation across everything. It's things like bowling leagues and baking clubs and 4As, which is, I guess, where you go to grow your baby rabbits and ducks and stuff like that. I don't know. I didn't.
Your prize zucchini and
yes.
whatever.
Yeah. And then it's also the erosion of groups like the Kiwanis group and the Odd Fellows and all those plaques and signs you see in small towns when you come in, the Elks Lodge, things like that.
My grandfather was a Rotarian and I have no idea what they did.
Rotary. Right. Yeah. What the hell is Rotary? I don't know, or what the Elks was. All I know of the Elks is like from the Flintstones when they wore the Grand Poobah hats and they were members of some weird club. There is a massive erosion of participation across all of these things in America, at least. I don't even know if the book documented things overseas, but I would guess that the AIGA is caught up in this overall erosion. First of all, so it's not unique to the AIGA. Would you have some sense that that's probably true?
Yeah, I think that's probably true because in the cities where we have active chapters like New York City or Boston or LA, like people turn out to stuff. They show up to stuff. And I think there's been trying to figure out like, okay, what is the value of membership? And it only makes dollars and cents when you're buying something big, like you're spending $1,500 on a conference ticket. But if you become a member, that does pay for itself. If you're buying a $2,500 continuing ed course on project management and leadership, like, yes, that pays for itself. But for people who are not shelling out for one of those big items in a year, it really is more the idea of a patronage, right? You're supporting the community in general. So it's not charity per se. I mean, we are a nonprofit, but you're supporting things like our podcast is available to the entire design community for free. So in some ways, we're like PBS or NPR in that sense. So there's kind of a, you're a marketing guy. There's kind of a conflict between these two value props. There's the one of like, okay, how does it make dollars and cents for yourself and the ROI of paying for membership? But then the other ask is like, okay, well, you're doing this, you're investing in, supporting the staff, supporting the chapters, all of this stuff, right? This infrastructural stuff, and it's a giving back kind of thing, and they kind of coexist and maybe are in conflict sometimes.
Yes, and this is step one. Step one is who's your audience and what do you know about them, and that's why I bring up this title change, because I think that your audience, designers, graphic arts professionals, they have shifted over the past 50 years that the association's been, 100 years that the association's been in operation, because people's relationships with groups has shifted over the past 100 years. And so you're right. There are several things association membership offers to people, and those have shifted over the past decades. Number one, like you're saying, is a sense of identity. Like, I am a graphic designer. I am a Rotarian. I am an Odd Fellow, whatever those groups were. I am a bowler. Those have weakened over the past 50 years, those senses of core identity. And I think it's related to the second one, which is opportunity. Back in the 50 years ago or 100 years ago, it was hard to find graphic designers and to connect with them and to get tutelage and get professional services and exchange expertise. So you needed to be a member in a group like that to gain access to that information. And now we are awash in information. We have too much information and too much opportunity to connect with people in dozens of ways. I'm sure you could just go to Reddit, and there are probably a dozen subreddits about design.
Totally.
And
you
can
or
feel
LinkedIn
like you're a member.
Posts or
And I'll bet you're even a member of these other loose or unofficial communities.
Totally. And there's like Slack groups for different, one for Asian American designers, for queer designers, for designers in the Rhode Island area. So these spaces exist already. So I think part of it is just losing our monopoly, right? That we maybe had 100 years ago. And then I think there's another relevant point about the shared identity, which is maybe particular to designers, communication designers in particular, which is that in some ways we've become a victim, or AIG has become a victim to the opening up of the industry and the profession by being less gatekeeping, right? So in the past, and this is before my time in the industry, in a pre-Photoshop age where graphic design was actually a physical thing, right? You were like rubbing on type, making mock-ups on paper, cutting things out with X-Acto knives, right?
Totally.
Taking that to a camera, taking that to print, right? I've watched, I've seen documentaries about it. This is before my time. And so when it was that kind of craft that was very hands-on, you learned on the job, that sense of identity, shared identity was very real, but it also limited access to the profession. Nowadays, we have members who learned through Photoshop tutorials on YouTube, all the way to people who did it the expensive old-fashioned way, right? They went to RISD for undergrad and then Yale for their MFA, and then landed an agency job in New York City. So it's like everything in between that. And so it's not like being a doctor or a lawyer where you might go to different law schools or medical schools, but that experience is very similar. For designers, that experience is actually very different based on the generation and your pathway into the profession.
Oh man. So you're looking at massive shifts, generational shifts. And so I don't even know if cliff is the right word I would use, but it's more like stratigraphy or erosion, or I don't even know what to call it. Paleo shifts. Anyway, it's a long-term thing that you're addressing, and it's affecting all kinds of associations, not just the AIGA. So first of all, from a strategic perspective, let's get into that now. What do you do about it? First of all, you're not going to change those tides. right? You can't force the ocean to move at a different tempo. The ocean will move the way it wants to, and you have to react and adapt to it. The second thing is a lot of those old things might never come back, like the exclusivity, the walled gardens, the unique and monopolized information and knowledge that the association might have. So that means, yeah, it's a time to innovate, and it's a time to evolve the business model of an association like the AIGA. And for that, then, that's going to be tough because the solution is not going to be in the past. The solution is unlikely to even be from another association type. Right. Although you can hunt around and see if any other associations are figuring out ways to address these things. But it gets me to a thought, a sciencey thought about what the association might be like today versus what it was like 100 years ago. Mm-hmm. This is all tracking so far?
Yeah. This is
okay. Great. So one of the thoughts is, back in the day, it was more of a step change between being not in the AIGA and being in it. Right? Being in it got you a lot. It got you cred. It got you access. It got you knowledge. It got you job opportunities and professional education. And it got you a sense of identity, and it got you access to events and meeting people and rubbing elbows. All of that now you can't control yourself, right?
Right.
And people can get it in all these other ways, like we just said. So now,
and you can be a non-member and pay to go to our events as well, right? You're just paying a little bit more. So
right. So even you are already offering different levels of participation.
Right.
So it's not so much a step function. Either you're in it, in the AIGA, or you're out of it. So relatedly, there is a truth, a pattern, an empirical law almost of brands that you don't really have a bell curve of participation or of buyers. You have a banana curve. And by that, I mean, you start with a lot of people who are very light buyers, whether you're Dove or whether you're Capital One. Most people who use Capital One use maybe one product that Capital One creates, a credit card, let's say.
Right. Yeah, I have one of those.
Yeah. You have a Capital One credit. What's in your wallet, Lishan? Yeah. And then you don't have any of the other 28 products Capital One offers you as an individual, a family, or a business. And you get those services from other banks, and you don't care. You don't think about it much. But that means you're a very light user of Capital One, right? And then there are a couple people who have 2 Capital One services or products, and then a few more that have 3 Capital One, and then the number of people gets smaller and smaller. And then you get the really heavy Capital One user, which might use 8 Capital One services. And they look incredibly heavy because nobody uses 8 Capital One services, but they're really rare. And so you end up with what looks like a banana if you look at the curve. So from lots of light users to very, very, very few heavy users. And I'm guessing if AIGA were to look at its user base, its membership base, its participation, you'd start to see the banana curve showing up over and over in your participation or your users. So you'll have a lot of light users of AIGA and very few heavy users. If this is true, and I'd bet a nice set of Caran d'Ache markers that it is.
Yeah. I think anecdotally it feels true. Obviously I don't have the data in front of me, but yeah, that does feel true.
Yeah. And once you feel it as true, once you understand it as true, then you realize a lot of your job is not to make people heavy users. For instance, it's really hard to make you a heavy, I don't know, here's an example. What's a hot sauce you like?
Sriracha.
Okay. The classic sriracha. Is there anything sriracha can do to force you or get you to become a super heavy user of sriracha, to change your habits?
Not really, because there's only like so much hot sauce that my digestive tract can handle, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And even if they come out with another flavor, that won't really budge your behavior very far, will it?
Yeah, not really.
No. And even if they come out with another flavor, you still have to decide to buy it and whether or not you wanted to get the sriracha garlic or sriracha green instead of sriracha classic. So we like to believe in marketing that we can influence people and push people to become heavier and heavier or more loyal users of our stuff. And that's rare. What's more likely is you can attract more and more people and they come in at whatever level they want to come in. And then they bounce around from light to medium to heavy, from heavy to medium to light, whatever.
Mm. So it's like the wider funnel at the top.
Correct. Or if you go back to the banana shape, you need a higher banana. You need more light users, more medium users, and more heavy users overall. And that really is what separates a big association from a tiny one. Like, is there a larger or a smaller association in your world of graphic arts and graphic design that you know of?
I don't think we have a direct competitor. There are other associations in related design fields, right? For
Sure.
Like, I'm actually speaking at one SEGD. They're the, I don't remember what the letters stand for, but they do like experiential graphic design, or the Society of Experiential Graphic Design. But it's folks who are doing like installations in retail buildings or like things like that. So it's still graphic design related, but it's a more specific niche than ours, which is a bigger tent. So there are other organizations like that out there.
So the SEGD, the Society for Experiential Graphic Design, is probably smaller than AIGA.
Yes.
And therefore it probably just has quite simply a lower banana, fewer light, fewer medium, fewer heavy across, out 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, however you measure use or involvement or participation. And so SEGD is a small banana, AIGA is a bigger banana. Your goal will be to grow the banana by bringing in lots of people, a lot of whom will be light users. Which then gets us now to another strategic question about your offering, which is if it's not a big step function of either you're a non-member and you get nothing, or you're a member and you get all this stuff, what are you offering light users? And is it easy for them to find it and buy it? So let's see, let's take the free stuff off the table, assuming you've got plenty of free things that you offer people, free knowledge, free webinars.
Yeah, plenty of that,
there's plenty of that. What's a lightweight, small spend thing AIGA offers?
I think this is something more at the chapter level than something out of my team, but say you're a designer in New York City, you can go to, I think they have something almost every week of the year. So there's some sort of talk in New York City, maybe hosted by a design studio, and it's $15, $20 to join. Like that's probably, or to go to that ticketed event. Yeah, to attend.
Yeah, so $20 for a ticket, $15 for a ticket is a very low priced way to get into AIGA. That's like for Dove, which I used as an example, which has grown incredibly over the past 15 years. Dove soap, Dove lotion, Dove hand cream. That's like buying one jar of Dove every 2 or 3 years, which is the most frequent and most common level of buying. Dove has mostly lots of really light buyers, super light buyers who only buy, a bottle of Dove lotion or a little bit of Dove soap once every other year or so.
Yeah. I hope these people are washing with soap more often.
Oh, they are, no doubt. But this is also another
Dove.
truth.
Okay, yeah,
this is also another truth. Of course, they're buying other brands.
Right.
So for you, Lishan, you know that people are shopping other brands when it comes to graphic design and graphic arts support, help, community events, whatever.
Totally.
So if you envision that you now have to get noticed by and attract users of all level, from super light, where they're just going to spend $15 or $20 this year on AIGA, period, because they went to one talk, one local event, to super users who are members and come to the conferences and pay for the extra trainings for their staff, and maybe drop $10,000 a year on AIGA. Your strategy, therefore, has to be, let's provide things at every level of spend.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Totally.
And
It
it
sort of
will
like reminds me of like luxury brands too, right? Like there are plenty of people can afford like a Prada or Louis Vuitton keychain or cologne or something like that, but far fewer people are buying the Birkin bag. Or I don't know anything about this, but like you get the idea.
You nailed it. My example of that, which I've used a couple times, is the Tiffany and Co. dog collar keychain thing.
Yeah.
It's a little heart that says Tiffany if found, return to Tiffany or whatever. I don't know how much that little silver bauble costs, maybe $250. But that's like you're barely toe in the water for Tiffany.
Right.
And they probably sell millions of those because that's what most people can afford.
Right.
And then those people grow up and some of them can finally afford actual Tiffany jewelry, which is in the thousands, if not tens of thousands. So you're right. What are the small offerings? What are the middle offerings? And what are the upper end offerings that you can allow people to buy, knowing that they're going to get services and info from other brands and organizations, but that will let you then capture the whole range of people in your banana curve, from light to super heavy. It's a bitch, unfortunately, because it diversifies your service offerings.
Totally.
And it's not as simple as, oh, you join, you become a member. And we have 2 member levels, right? Individual and corporate.
Yeah. So that actually puts becoming a member in the middle of this banana curve somewhere. Like there's other touch points or things that you can buy before you even become a member that are cheaper than the $250 a year for a professional. It's much less for students, but yeah.
Totally. And then, so strategically, the organization needs to come up with a range of services and products across those price points. And then, of course, continually let people know that these things exist, because that's the other challenge. Now that there are so many other Slack channels and subreddits and even associations or clubs, you need to remind people you guys exist at all. And a lot of young designers don't grow up instantly knowing AIGA and what it means. So it's a constant effort of letting the world know AIGA exists. Yeah. And you probably, Lishan, because you know it so well, and your team knows it so well, assumes that all designers know it. And I'll bet you'd be shocked by how many designers might have never even heard of AIGA.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't learn about it until I was in grad school, because I didn't come up through a traditional design background. I have a liberal arts degree for undergrad, studied political science, and then started working in communications, which got me into design. Got it. So exactly, like I'm a perfect example of somebody who did not come up in design the quote unquote traditional way. And so I never learned about it because there wasn't an AIGA club in my undergrad program, because we were all, reading political science.
There you go. So you're a good example of this, actually. Whereas someone who studied design, grew up reading design books, knows who Paul Rand is, probably just grew up thinking everybody knows the AIGA. Duh. And that's an assumption that often prevents an organization from doing the right kind of promotion and marketing to let people know they exist at all. Yeah. And so that's another thing you'll probably have to work with your leadership team on is, hey, if we assume people know us, then that's going to take us into a certain kind of education or educating our consumers and a certain kind of marketing. If we assume they don't know who the hell we are, and that most marketers have never even heard of AIGA, even though we're as old as World War I.
Yeah.
That should take you in a very different place in terms of how you would market the organization. Right? Yeah. You need to be more attention grabbing, more simple, headlines instead of body copy, so to speak.
Totally.
Right? And just get people to notice you at all, and then feel good enough about you to go, huh, I should check out the AIGA. That's cool. I didn't know they existed.
Do you have thoughts on, this is very helpful, by the way, but I'm curious if you have thoughts about positioning a legacy or heritage brand like AIGA, because there's the folks who like know us because they've known us. We literally have members who write in and be like, I've been a member since 1975. And,
Yeah.
And so in some ways that could be like cool, or it could be like, as the kids say, right? It could be this is like
okay,
for
boomer.
the old people, or this is like for the, the elitists, right? And we've been trying to address that too, of like AIGA being like too Eurocentric, too white, too elite, so we've been trying to address those issues. But then there is also something about like, okay, founded in 1918 is like, that is a big deal too, right? So balancing that. Do you have any thoughts on?
First of all, I think you really need to lean into your heritage and to use the best parts of it. I mean, heritage brands, these young brands would die to have a heritage, like Hermes or Prada, or Apple's 40 years old at this point too, right?
Yeah.
But then what you want to connect that with is the notion that you're innovative, that you are modern, that you're thinking about the future. That you're not just saying the old ways are the best ways, but that we are here. We're an old company that has always reinvented itself and has always planned for the next big thing. Like whether it's going from hot type to letterpress, from letterpress to desktop publishing. I was mentioning Paste Up earlier. In college, I was part of the newspaper, and we would print out the columns of text that would go in, or the headlines, in the right size font. We'd cut it with X-Acto knives, send it through a machine that put hot waxy glue on the back. It's just wax, but it was then you'd put it on this board that had a light coming from behind it, like a white plastic sheet. And then you'd lay it out by hand where the headline goes, where the columns go. So but you want your organization to be seen as innovative, as well as to have great history. And there are plenty of heritage brands that do that well. So like you said, the fashion brands, they're doing pretty well at that. I just helped Lazy Boy with this exact problem. They've launched a new campaign, Long Live Lazy, which really shows that they're innovative and modern, but also uses their history and their heritage. KFC, from a consumer perspective, fantastic example of a brand that uses its heritage, but in a modern, fun, innovative, fresh way. So some of it is you just have to do the things that are modern and innovative, and people will be like, oh, that's pretty cool. AIGA is pretty badass.
Right.
And then you tell people.
Right.
And that's one that actually I would steal from Domino's. Do cool shit and then tell people about it. Don't say you're innovative and then back it up. Do innovative shit and then remind people, yeah, duh, we're innovative. We're the AIGA. We've been innovating for 100 years. So you can work on that. But again, a bigger problem might be people have never even heard of the AIGA.
Yeah.
So they go hand in hand.
You have gears turning now. It's like, oh, well, like, what is, I think because you were talking about your own speakeasy, it's like, oh, what is the AIGA speakeasy, right? Like, could an AIGA conference be a speakeasy kind of experience where it's like, oh, you have to know, right? And it's like, it's the empty nightclub with the velvet rope, and the line outside is like, you have to build the buzz before you let people in, because you don't want to be like the first one into the empty nightclub, right?
Totally. What are the badass things AIGA could do? What are the coolest things? And stuff's out there. Things are happening. How could AIGA quickly do those things, or even invent those things that people would be like, that's badass. AIGA is doing cool shit. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. So the gears are turning, huh?
Yeah, definitely. I think so far, I mean, lots of takeaways, but the two highlights are like that banana curve you were saying, and trying to figure out like, what is our product offering that is, going up in price, right? And commitment. And then this, positioning thing of just doing cool shit and maybe even being something that they don't expect to come from AIGA.
Yes.
And it's like, but look at, they've been around for 120 plus years.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that those, and then the third one being never forget, most people have never even heard of AIGA.
Yeah.
I mean, the people that could use your services, the people that would love your events, a lot of them are like, who? Yeah. Great. Well, I hope you can take some of those gears that are turning and continue to have them turn and come up with some new ideas. We'll have to have you back on the show in a year to find out what you've done and then talk about your new problems.
Yeah, I'd love to come back.
That would be fantastic. Thanks for coming on the show, Lee Sean.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ethan. This was really fun.
Excellent.
From
By the way,
White Stripes to Tiffany to all sorts, to Dove, all sorts of things. It was great.
Awesome. One last thing. Where can people learn more about the AIGA?
AIGA.org is our website, or on social media, it's AIGA Design, at AIGA Design on Instagram and LinkedIn are our main platforms.
Okay. Fantastic. Have a great day. Good luck with the apocalyptic clouds.
Thanks.
All right. Ciao. So listen, brand science works best when it's a team sport. If you want your crew rowing in the same direction, call me to learn more about workshops, trainings, and talks, oh my, for your company. Head to appliedbrandscience.com to learn more. Oh, you're still here. So am I. Look at that. The show's ended, but yet here we are. Look, if you've come this far, you're the best. And to thank you for being the best, we'd love to send you some Frelk and Science AF stickers. So if you'd like some, send your mailing address, of course, your name too, and also your favorite superhero to info@appliedbrandscience.com, and we'll hook you up.